Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Ben the Human Plays Vagrus, the Riven Realms. I'm here at the Alchemist because a lot of people have pointed out I've been hauling this bogweed around forever. I actually don't think I have it with me right now. I left it in the liminal space in between realms or whatever. They pointed out that you can sell bogweed to the Alchemist. And this is true. Problem is you can only sell 3 at a time. And you can only do it every 8 days. So while we could sell some bogweed to this guy, and we should, if we have just like 3, I assume he needs at least, he wouldn't buy less than 3 and more than 3. So if we have 3 on hand, or you know 4 or 5 or whatever, might as well sell it to this guy, because right now we've been hauling 29 around for a very long time. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to get to the point where I can sell all of it at once, and I think to do that I need to work on Garrick's quest line, but I'm not 100% sure on that. However, what we are doing today is we need to go talk to the man in charge and tell him that the dragon people are up to no good. So we're gonna go public buildings to... No. Where's the Legion? Is it in the temple? It sure is. Go to the authorities. Try to find out, Bounty's office? What? Excuse me? At the temple district, where the hell is Tullus Capasius? Is he not in the... Oh, there he is. He gets his own, tab. You seek out Tullus Capasius in his office. As you are currently in his employment, you do not have to endure the usual onerous process of gaining admittance. The Legionnaires escort you straight in. Capasius sits in his elevated chair, looking preoccupied. As you approach, he turns to you. Greetings, Vagrus. So have you found a way to return Vitris. I hate their own pronunciation for Torzag Shelter is so difficult to pronounce. A BVR? Who came up with this name? How fares your work? What tidings do you bring? You tell him what you learned about Fort Larius, Dewcatcher, Krengu, and the Thirsty Maggots. Capasius leans forward. He almost looks interested. So you got inside, Larius. Tell me. You tell him that it was just as he suspected. The fort is occupied by a war band of brigands who call themselves the Thirsty Maggots. They are no ordinary outlaws. The bandits are highly organized. They made it their goal to raid Imperial assets in the vicinity of Hagar-Tul, such as quarries and comitatai. This they achieved by operating a spy network within Torzag Shelter, which fed them information about schedules, routes, reinforcements, and the like. You tell Capasius about Bashir and the true leader, the one who commands them and goes by the name of Dewcatcher. Capasius nods slowly. Yes, just as I assumed. How did you manage to get back to Tenevritris? Tell Capasius about the mission Dewcatcher gave you. You explain that after some errand runs, you were granted an audience with Dewcatcher, who seemed troubled, for he heard no reports from his spy ring in the city for a while. So he sent you to investigate. It turned out that some of the raids of the Undercity, used as messengers by the true powers to be behind it all, were killing Dewcatcher's spies. A dragonkin man named Shemukan ran the assassinations. There was a conflict between the creatures and this man, who resulted in the slaughter of the involved raids and their leader, Krengu. Is that a smile you can see on Capasius' face? Interesting, he says dryly. Time to decide what else you want to report. Is there anything else? Show him the letter you found on Shemukan's body. It takes savvy to do this, so let's do that one. You produce the letter you found in Shemukan's robes and hand it to Capasius. He reads it and then lets it disappear into the folds of his toga. You did well to bring this to me, he says. Curious about the implications, you ask the man what this is about. The letter and the gear of the Shemukan's posse seem to implicate some kind of Dragonlands faction, probably Ratharnak Alliance or similar association. They were clearly trying to sabotage Imperial revenues by funding and organizing outlaws to prey on their assets. Capasius raises an eyebrow. You believe so, Vagrus. I hired you to find out about Fort Larius, and so you did. For that I thank you, but do not assume you are allowed to meddle in state affairs just because you caught a slight glimpse of them. Is there more you can tell me? Is there anything else? That is all. Or, should we give up Dewcatcher? Dewcatcher's name value must exceed the requirements. We gained insight, might as well, since this is the guy we're working for anyway. And I kind of think Dewcatcher's days are numbered. His spies are all dead, and they know where he is, so... The man they call Dewcatcher, you say. I know who he is. Is that so? Capasius asks, barely able to suppress his curiosity. I believe he's an old acquaintance of yours, you reply. His name is Mus Griseo. For a moment, there's an expression on Capasius's face you never would have believed he is capable of displaying. Utter bewilderment. Then he emits a strange sound, something between a sigh and the hissing of a snake, and you realize he is laughing. That's all I can imagine. Old Mus, my old friend, he smirks. So that's where you've gone to the Empire's ladder was too steep for you, so you ran off into the desert. Have you fallen so far that you turned against your own just because you failed to achieve what you wanted? For a while he just stares as if in thought, and then turns his attention back to you. You must forgive me, but I find this most amusing. You see, Mus Griseo was an old rival of mine within the apparatus. Let's just say he worked towards the same position. Suffice to say I won, after which he disappeared. But now, thanks to you, I know where to. But let that be none of your concern. Is there more you can tell me? Apparently not. We got some insight, though. That is all. Tullus Capasius looks pleased as he leans back in his chair. Good work, Vagrus, he says. Well done. You ask him about your reward. Tisk tisks. Such an overly materialistic attitude. Isn't serving the Empire a reward in itself? Boo! Before you can answer, he continues, I am jesting. Of course you shall be fully compensated as per our agreement. That is if you consider your service already done. You ask him what he is suggesting. Well, you provided the information I requested, at least a portion of it. Fort Larius and Dewcatcher, however, are still a threat. You ask him if it's time to march on the fort. Capasius smiles and nods slowly. I will certainly do that, yet such a siege is no easy undertaking. I could still use someone on the inside in order to minimize the risks. Would you be interested? Of course, strictly for additional payment. Tell him to pay you and then you are done. Let's try it. This is interesting. I feel like I'm gonna get myself into a really dangerous situation, but why not? You do not disappoint. You have the ambition it takes to serve the Empire. As I said, I need someone on the inside when the time comes and our troops descend on Fort Larius, which is fairly soon. For now, return to Dewcatcher. He no doubt eagerly awaits your report regarding the disappearance of his agents. Tell him what you must. This will deepen his foolish trust in you. In the meantime, a special contingent of our legionnaires will secretly follow you and attack when the time is right. While inside the fort, spy the defenses, and if possible, sabotage some of them. I'm sure you will find a way, resourceful as you have proved to be thus far. Ask him what happens afterwards. Naturally, once the siege begins, you should do your best to further weaken the enemy from within. Do not take too long either, Vagrus. My men will take action regardless of your presence in a month or so. Is everything clear? You nod. Good, says Capasius. Before you go, let me give you your interim reward for your services so far. My servants will see to it that you get it. He arranges for two minor clerks and a few guards to escort you to the vault in the building, where you receive a rather handsome payment in coins. After that, you are back on the streets of Torzag Shelter with your new task in hand. Take your reward, 25 gold, 8 insight. Holy crap, are we drowning in insight? Jeez! 36 insight. Wowzers. Well, maybe we should get some more perks. I'm still waiting on, like, the ability to upgrade my people. Because they don't trust me enough. Like, if we look at our companions here. Gorgoro doesn't trust me. Ren is good. Oh, we could upgrade Ren. And maybe we should. Like, what would be a good one? Vitality, evade, initiative. We could give him a better knife throw. I think. No, he needs to be level 6 for that. But we could give him a better stab. I've kind of been avoiding taking Ren places. Because I haven't really looked into his stuff all that much. Maybe I'll save this for off camera, because, like, I don't know if it's that exciting to watch me stare at spreadsheets. Essentially. Nadir I could upgrade all the way, which is wild. Eilani, no. Kreefta, not quite. She's already pretty high. Garrick, not yet. But we are working on his mission. Skornar, I'm not even really sure what to do for him. Harvick is trying to assassinate people, but he hasn't found anybody in, like, forever, so... Who knows? Oh, and I was thinking, you know that trick I was doing with the 50% feeding and then fully movement and whatnot? I think you have to do that with lizards, because I was like, what's the thing that I was doing differently in the Bronze Desert? It was because I had lizards with me instead of beasts of burden. I don't know if that's what it does. What does it? Because they eat more food anyway. But that's the only thing I can think of. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know. But that's the only thing I could think of. But for now, let's prioritize getting back to Fort Larius. It's 6 days out there. We have 484 people, 10 outriders. We don't really need a ton of stuff other than supplies to go back. I forget what does Fort Larius even want? It was like beer. Is that even listed on here? It sure is. Oh, and thank you for pointing out. So I can sort by this. Is this true? Or not? So difference. So you have to be. It's a little tricky if you do the display price. So what really matters between the two here, and multiple people pointed this out in the comments, so thank you for pointing it out. But what you have to be tricky, or what you have to be aware of in here, is that the buy price is the thing that matters in the city you're standing in. The sell price is the thing that matters in the city you're going to. And if you just look at the overall, you still might lose money. The nice thing is if it's all red, you know not even to bother looking at it, so if you're looking at the difference here. The problem is, this could still be positive, like if this is 2.8, and then if we look at full price here, this could end up being like 3.2. It would still show you green here, it'd be like +4. But this guy, you would buy it for 3.4 and sell it for 3.2 and you'd still lose money. So, while it's a good indicator just overall, it's not the be-all end-all. So you still need to compare the two. So let's see, mushroom beer? Okay, mushroom beer is the way to go here. And then luxury wine? Not at all. So just mushroom beer, I think. And then we'll need supplies to get out and back. Also, maybe normal wine? You could do normal wine as well, depending on what is available. Also, people pointed out that I should be buying full stacks of things instead of piecemeal, because then the price doesn't change. I didn't know that. I assumed that when you did a full stack of something, like if I buy 150 mushroom, it does seem to change the price a little, but not as much as if maybe you bought it one at a time. Oh, I see. I was looking at mushrooms. I'm like, why can't I buy 150? So I want to do 125 here. And then we should probably do the supplies before we do any of the other stuff. So 1,000 supplies will get us to 6 days. So 2,000 supplies, sure enough. Okay, let's do the 2,000 supplies. We will sell the extra 20 that we had just lying around because I want to get that inventory slot open. And then let's go get some wine here. Where's that at? All the way at the bottom, I bet. Oh, we can only do 1 stack of wine anyway. So we'll just grab this guy. We'll grab 1 thing of oil for Gorgoro. And then I guess maybe we will grab another stack of supplies. I sold them 20. I took 250 back. It doesn't really matter because you can buy and sell them at 1 anyway. A little tidbit for you. There. Okay, I think we're ready to roll. I don't think anybody wants me to take anything to Fort Larius. That would be a shock. When they're like enemies of the state, there's a defend. Not really what I'm looking for. 316, that's a quite the battle. Especially considering I'm going out there to fight the brigands or whatever. Near Leviathan's demise. Still 359. 239 is tempting, but like I said, I think we should focus on the mission at hand rather than getting sidetracked with any of these weaker ones. I was thinking if there were any that were like 100 or lower, but it doesn't look like that. So we'll head out. Whoops. I should have rested in the city. Hee hee hee. Anyway. We'll just rest here for today. We left the city and then slept in the... and then we slept in the... outside the walls. Alright, out into the desert. Or into the greens. Not the desert. There's plenty of water around here. Alright, we'll try to regenerate our vigor as we wander out into the wasteland. Let's blot out the voices. We lost some morale and some obedience. That does happen. Not a big deal. Kreefta gained, like, all of her health back. Good for her. Let's boost our movement. No, we'll go for the morale and obedience back. The wind kind of knocked us off course with regards to that, but that's fine. Now we can start. All right, we're back to 8s across the board. 2 more days and we should be back to full vigor and obedience and morale. There we go. I guess 3 days because you have to drop down once. Here? Yeah. Go out and into the wilderness. Try to find us some food. You did not. You found 3 supplies. What a waste. We're invigorated. We have decent morale and obedience, so we should be fine there. Do not fraternize with the maggots. That's gonna take all of our stuff. All right, sell them all of the mushroom beer. I think that's exactly... No, that's what I paid for my supplies. And then the oil is for Gorgoro. There you go. Cool. Let us go meet with Dewcatcher. The Comitatus is tucked away safely among the hills nearby while you and your companions go inside. Take all of our companions with us. Oh, Harvick, you're hurt? You're really hurt. What happened, my man? Okay, we might have to shuffle the crew around. Who do we take? Do we take Ren or do we take Garrick? I'm kind of like sour on Garrick lately. So maybe Ren, we're gonna invest a little bit more in you, my man. Let's give them the furtive stab because I'm kind of thinking he can occupy the same place that Harvick does because he works in the front or in the back. Craven, resistance, mine resistance. Marksman? No. Scout, I think, is important. Boost perceptive and savvy? Although savvy's really got a ways to go before we can do the darkness within, which is a really good skill. But more scout is also pretty good. So maybe we go for perceptive. And then we have 2 left. Why don't we just sink it into con? I'm a good liar. That's what I do in Dungeons and Dragons, or at least in Baldur's Gate 3 a lot. Okay, don't forget to take Ren. I think we're good. You're greeted by Bashir. Good that you finally returned, Vagrus, the overseer says, wiping sweat from his wide brow. Dewcatcher is beginning to get anxious and morale is quite low. I hope you bring good tidings. I don't remember if this is the voice I used for him. I should probably go back and watch that video. Anyway, you're led into the underground chamber where Dewcatcher dwells. As you enter, you find the tiny man pacing up and down restlessly. When he sees you, his worried features lighten up, but only a little. Vagrus, he exclaims, what took you so long? But I guess that's exactly what you are about to recount, isn't it? Bashir, stay with us while our friend tells us everything we need to know. You take a deep breath. You tell them that there is little trouble in the city and that their agents are all gone, assassinated by a faction of wraiths. Buzzard himself was killed right in front of you, and the leader of these despicable creatures was the one called Krengu. Dewcatcher smashes his tiny fists on the desk upon hearing of your account of events in the shelter. Curse them. That was a terrible sound. I'm trying to get into Foley work now, I guess. I should have known better than to trust them. Yet they seemed like such indispensable assets for the unhindered flow of information. But continue. Did you learn anything else? Tell him how Shemakan killed the killers. You notice how Dewcatcher shivers slightly as you mention the Shemakan's name. But then, just as he quickly composes himself. Never heard the name. Nice try, sir. Anyhow, he continues, you tell me Krengu and his wraiths were killed by my agents, and then this. What did you say his name was? Shemakan? Slaughtered them? For whatever reason? And that has nothing to do with Tullus Capasius sniffing around. At least not according to our late friend Buzzard. Is that right, or am I missing something here? That's about right, you nod. That will have to do then, he nods curtly. Thank you for your assistance. You shall be rewarded accordingly. He walks to a heavy chest in the corner of his office, produces a ring of keys, and proceeds to unlock the container's complex mechanism. He hands you a pouch he takes from the chest. It is small but heavy with coin. Take your reward. 7? I got paid 25 from the other guy. I guess the 7's just kind of a bonus. Dewcatcher sits down behind his desk, rubbing his temples. He seems tired, spent even. Did you wish to disclose or ask anything else? If not, I'd rather you leave me alone for some time. You tell him nothing and remain loyal to Capasius. Yeah, I like the idea of we're gonna roast these fools, because we have to work with the Imperium. I don't know who the heck these bozos are. And as far as I can tell, they're not like fighting for anything worthwhile. They're fighting for this guy's ego. So I'm like, I don't want to get dragged into that. Looking at him, you see a man you could almost pity, even genuinely feel sorry for. After all, he does only what everyone in the Riven realms aspires to. He tries to survive. Not only that, but he also tries to provide for a community that depends on him, but by whatever means he can. You know that you can turn things around, and this is your chance. Come clean and reveal that you've been planted among the thirsty maggots, or remain silent and prepare for the siege. Yeah, we're not going to tell him. He nods. Good, I believe that it would be best for the thirsty maggots to lay low for a while. I have to gather my thoughts and rest a little, see what I can make of this situation. Hopefully after that I'll see more clearly. Accompanied by Bashir, you depart. The rest of the afternoon and evening goes by. The Comitatus moves into the fort to spend the night inside its protected walls. A sinking feeling is in your stomach all the way through as the hours go by. Not knowing when the Imperial soldiers arrive makes you even more nervous. You and your crew tried to grab a few hours of sleep. Okay. Let's try... Oh, we got all of our stuff back. Hell yeah. Why don't we do some healing to try and get Well, everybody we were gonna use is off healing, so we're just gonna leave it alone. It's fine. The dawn hours creep by with a maddening inertia, while the light of the coming dawn turns slowly from a thin gray line on the horizon to a soft yellowish gloom saturating everything. It is going to be a clear day. You are up and about very early. The maggots go about their business just like every other morning, not suspecting anything. Some of them get up, others go to sleep as their watch ends, some spar, break their fast, or even drink heavily this early like there is no tomorrow, which might just be about right. Suddenly you hear a shout from one of the lookouts. The man points to the south where a black column appears against the backdrop of the hills steeped in the dawn gloom. It is steadily growing larger, and soon you are able to make out individual soldiers marching in rank and file. Bashir comes running from his tower, donning his armor hastily. His face bears an expression that is equally puzzled and angry. What in Tartarus? He curses, then his voice rises to a roar. No, effing no, this can't be. Attack! We're under attack! Everyone to arms! To the walls! To the arms, damn it! The Empire is upon us! He's followed by none other than Dewcatcher himself, who appears to be much more contained, though you can tell he is quite shocked. He gives you a curious look, but then ultimately says nothing. He follows Bashir to the breach in the wall and beckons you to go with them, and so it begins. Capasius's forces draw near. The legionnaires themselves, of whom you count about 100, more than enough against untrained brigands such as the maggots, are followed by a somewhat larger, significantly less organized group of slow-moving, lurching figures. They brought undead with them, as is the general practice of Imperial legions. No surprise there, yet it is somewhat disheartening. For a brief moment, you can't help but imagine the remains of yourself and your companions marching there should you fall today. Such is the confidence of your allies that they make no attempt to remain unseen. And why should they? They are the elite forces of the mighty empire, up against some lowly wasteland outlaws hidden away in an ancient ruin on the verge of collapse. Also, they know they have somebody inside who is poised to sabotage their prey's main defense line. You just hope not to disappoint them, and even more not to be found out by the maggots before the siege goes down. Not far from the walls, the troops stop and rearrange as command words are shouted and banners are being waved. The neat columns of legionnaires retreat while their undead minions drag themselves forward. Then their lines part and forward rides none other than Tullus Capasius himself. You wouldn't have thought he'd come, believed him to be but a soft and cowardly bureaucrat. Yet there he sits in the saddle of a pretty horse dressed in ornate but loosely fitting battle gear. Capasius raises a gloved hand. Silence falls. For a frustratingly long time, Capasius only observed the walls and the defenders with a disdainful, almost amused expression. Then he speaks in a loud, clear voice. Herewith, I, Tullus Capasius of the Empire, address the vile outlaws, naming themselves the Thirsty Maggots and their leader who goes by the moniker of Dewcatcher. Know this, based on evidence presented to the Imperial courts, you were found guilty on several accounts of murder, plunder, the illegal occupation of Imperial property, as well as high treason against the Emperor himself. Therefore, you are given an ultimatum. Cease your unlawful resistance, come forward of your own free will, and I promise that apart from your leaders and instigators, none shall be killed, but sold to slavery in an act of mercy. Fail to do so, and the Empire's punishment shall be devastating. For a moment there is only silence. Then suddenly, there is a most unexpected sound. One of the maggots lets out a long, outdrawn fart. Judging from his smug face, he does it on purpose. At first, both Dewcatcher and Bashir are baffled, but then the latter grins and shouts, "That devastating enough, you slimy effer?" Down below, Capasius shrugs. Thought as much. Have it your way, then. He gives a sign to which horns answer. While he retreats to the back now, the undead begin to stagger towards Fort Larius. The siege has begun. The undead approach steadily. Meanwhile, you can see that down below the legionnaires have started to move as well, with shields held high. To their front and to the sides, a contingent arranges itself into the infamous testudo formation and begins to march towards the main gate. Their intent is quite clear: capture the gatehouse and break up the barricade blocking the entry. The first undead reach the breaches in the wall and throw themselves hissing at the defending maggots. This is a great time for you to betray the outlaws and assault the gatehouse's defenders. Let's do that immediately. I think, like, right before anybody suspects or, like, gets wise. You could also maybe wait for, like, full chaos of the battle to reign, but I think let's try right away. You slip away quietly and observe the unfolding siege from a safe place. Most of the maggots are occupied with trying to repel the undead at the wall breaches, yet quite a few brigands loiter around in the inner yard, preparing themselves for an attack should the fort's defense line breach. Make your way to the gatehouse without raising suspicion. We have lots of Skulker, we have lots of Dexterous. Let's use some of our resourcefulness. We have succeeded. Taking advantage of the general chaos and confusion, you stalk to the gatehouse. From the other side, you can hear the Imperial force trying to force their way through with their testudo formation. Now that is something that could be helped. You signal your companions to help you with removing the barricade and the last few bandits who are defending it. Unaware of your treachery, the maggots at the gatehouse fall in a matter of seconds at your command. I thought I was going to have to fight somebody. It seems no one saw you. With some effort, your crew removes the barricade and beckoning the legionnaires inside. In an instant, Capasius's forces pour through the gap. The maggots are done. The brigands realize their defense has been compromised, but it's too late. Already the bulk of the undead and legionnaires are inside the courtyard. Bashir spins around, his eyes widen, then he rushes to the gatehouse. "To me, maggots," he screams, "to me!" Yet already most of those who could follow lie dead. You find yourself between Bashir with his remaining maggots and the soldiers pressing in. You order your fires to take down the brigand lieutenant's men. This poor man! He's got 1, 2, 6, 8, 9 people. Holy crap. We have 637 fighting? You poor bastards. I don't know if there's anything we can do to, like, change this. How about feint? Nope. That makes it more likely that we crit fail. How about flanking? Okay, flanking makes crit success more likely. So, and then we gotta cull the leaders, of course. There we go. Yeah, that's good. And then we have everybody as mounted. All right, they brought both orcs and 2 slingers. Bring the crew. Harvick, you sit down for a second. We're gonna try out Ren in this position instead. Give me some good initiative. Nadir goes first. Let's try and stun this guy. We've done so. Well done. Do you guys have armor? You don't. None of you have armor. Or wait, you have armor. Weird. Anyway, let's break that guy's armor. Now, Ren, since you're at the back, you can throw daggers. Let's try to kill this guy, since we already started hurting him. Incoming rock. That wasn't so bad. Fire an arrow. Oh, he's dead. He's done for. Oh, you fool. You sliced and diced me, but it didn't even hurt me. Middle row. Fantastic shot. And then punch this guy in the face, maybe? Didn't you die? Excuse me? I swear to God, this guy died. How did he come back? Oh, I forgot he can throw javelins. All right. Knives. Be prepared for this guy not to die. Because when you get him low, he won't die. He is fended. Arrow? All right, we killed one of their dudes. Yeah, I was like, Skornar can kill this guy. He did indeed. Oh, he didn't die. Or I mean, he didn't come back. I'm shocked. Stab the rock boy. He can throw rocks from the front. And then he bled to death, I think. This guy's gonna get to attack before I can stop him, so let's just focus fire the orc at the back there. Okay, then he did not die. I guess maybe that's like a random trigger. It's not always gonna happen. Eilani's getting absolutely pummeled by this fool. Let's try to stun him. He blocked it. I can't tell if he's stunned or not. Drop a rune under his feet, shoot him with an arrow, and then Skornar looked tough. He is stunned. Great news. Let's lock in so we can't miss him. Oh, you know what? I should probably start Gorgoro at the back so he can do 1 forward of rush, and then Ren can be at the front for 1 turn. Because I realize Ren doesn't have anything that's going to make him jump forward unless he dodges. So it doesn't work quite as well as Harvick. Good to know. But that went pretty well. Eilani got a little beat up, but we can swap her out for someone else. Maybe Harvick this time. Success. Good job, me. Go ahead and heal. Move on. Your troops push back and slaughter the last of the resisting maggots. The gatehouse area almost empty now, apart from the wounded and the dying. The legionnaires form a half circle on its perimeter and begin marching forward step by step with shields raised and spears pointed towards the enemy in unison. Bashir lies dead a few yards away from you. He was hit on the head by a pylum shortly after the skirmish broke out inside. Harvick's smile goes wide. What? The plum bastard is gone, eh? A maggot he was indeed. The mercenary says as his mandibles clack violently. Kinda sad I couldn't off him myself, but all's well that ends well, eh, boss? Harvick ponders this for a few moments before standing above Bashir's limp form. Farewell, you fool. This was one of the guys that you needed to kill? You ask him if indeed this was personal. Nah, boss, that's one less trouble for me, really. But it was personal for the fellow who I promised to take care of it, and a bunch of others. You scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of deal, you know? Help me get through that damn prison, and I keep my word, more often than not, eh? Fret not, boss. Double Dish here deserved what was coming to him. With that, he indicates your surroundings, and it seems most of the fighting is over. You walk onto where the last resistance of the outlaws holds. Harvick gained loyalty. Cool. It has been a desperate fight, but finally the last maggots succumb to their wounds or surrender. With gaze sunk and ashamed of their fear, they turn away from you. Not so their leader. Dewcatcher appears at the steps of Fort Larius' main building. He looks astonishingly calm given the situation. So, this is who you are after all, he addresses you. In hindsight, I really should have wondered, but I have to admit, you really hoodwinked me there. That you did to yourself, speaks Tullus Capasius from behind your back. He must have rode in with his triumphant troops. After you failed in the ranks of the Empire, you tricked yourself into believing you could make up for it with this petty scheme. Dewcatcher nods ponderously in an almost serene manner. Might be you are right, he says, but then again, I at least had something I could call my own, instead of being a mere lackey. This ends now, Tullus Capasius says, beckoning his legionnaires. 3 of them approach with shackles and chains ready. The rest they have secured the surrendered maggots. You might be of use to the Empire after all, old friend. Clearly Dewcatcher was hoping to be killed. Now he puts up a fight, but much too late and in vain. The legionnaires tie him and drag him away. Tullus Capasius turns his gaze towards you. You take a look around. Some fighting is still going on the outskirts of Fort Larius, but the day is won. Not something you might have believed when the sun rose over the wasteland this dawn. As the legionnaires round up the remaining maggots and secure the perimeter, you are drawn to the side by Tullus Capasius. To the victor go the spoils, he says solemnly. Well done, Vagrus, you did us a great service. By defeating these impertinent outlaws, you helped the Empire clear a threat in the Haggard Tool region. With the Dragonlands growing ever stronger, this is of utmost importance to us. The example of Fort Larius will teach any wasteland brigands to know better than to challenge the Empire. As for your compensation, now comes the sweet part. Damn it, I'm reluctant to say so, but the Empire could make good use of your talents, Tullus Capasius continues. Yet I am well aware that your true calling lies elsewhere. And I thought he was going to say I don't have anything for you. That a vagabond such as you will not be fettered down by such rigid structures. Nor would we really want to employ your erratic kind in the long run. But know this, we shall remember you. He produces a pouch heavy with coin. Take this as your due reward, Vagrus. May it be long until Oscul sees fit to welcome you. With that, he sinks back into his usual sullenness, from which you understand it is time to leave. We got a ton of church stuff. We got less money than last time, a bunch of insight, and some renown. So that's pretty cool. What? Observe the remains? That's pretty broken, it seems. Okay, cool. Well, I think we're going to call it there. I think I'll head back to Torzag's shelter on my own, so we'll pick up back there in the next episode. So if you guys enjoyed, click the like button. It helps out a lot. If you want to see more Vagrus the Riven Realms or the other videos I have going on the channel, subscribe to the channel. That also helps me out a lot. But until next time, everybody, I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody!